Hello, everybody. My name is Choppy. I love wood.
And my name is Sprouty, and I love to protect the trees.
Chop, 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 chop everything.
Whoa, 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 Choppy. Maybe take like one tree.
Why take one tree when I can take all the trees? More wood, more money. I want a boat.
And then what would you do next? Year, Choppy?
Sell dirt.
If you cut down the entire forest at once, you lose soil stability, wildlife, habitat, future trees.
But I get so much wood right now. I love wood.
Well, and then no forest forever.
That does sound bad when you say it like that.
What if you selectively cut out some of the trees? Leave others to grow. Replant what you harvest.
So, fewer trees now, but trees later?
Exactly. Long-term forest health and long-term trimmer.
All right, thanks, Sprouty.
All right, I hope Choppy and Sprouty gave you, some good lessons in how we should manage our forests. That although we need the wood, we need to be careful with it. So this last section of topic 5, sustainable forestry. Why do these forests matter to us? Now, you probably heard of timber before. Timber for our houses. Any kind of building, and tons of consumer products use wood. Just look around you, you'll find it. Paper that we use every day. I think we're all using more paper now in school than maybe previously. This feeds right into jobs. Okay, without the wood, you don't have the material to build the houses, all the people working on the houses, designing them, building it, and all the products and paper. Also recreation. We love, just going out into the woods is really good for our mind. It really is shown to help people cope better with modern life, lower blood pressure, and just feel better. And it's something that we talked about forever, ecosystem services. The system. So providing the space to clean our air, to clean our water. Those are all ecosystem services. And, for SoCal, just think about all the housing that we need. Anyway, we're really low on housing, but because of the fires recently, we need more wood than normal. So how are we going to get more wood without damaging our ecosystem services? And, that's the core question. How do we meet our human demand without destroying or negatively impacting the forest long term? So basically, we need to talk about, efforts to mitigate the impacts, sustainable, balance our economic needs with the ecosystem needs. Economic, environmental protection, and long-term health. Economic, environmental protection. We gotta be in it for the long-term forest health. Too much today, we're all short-term thinking, a month from now, a year from now, and that is just a recipe for disaster. Long-term forest health. There we go. Okay, and in general, the harvest rate should be lower than the growth rate. So the rate at which we harvest rate lower. We harvest at a lower rate than growth rate. Okay, if we do that, we can keep, because trees grow back. It's not like oil. Oil doesn't really come back. Coal doesn't come back. Natural gas doesn't come back. But trees can come back if we do it right. So the ways to do this, to mitigate, basically lessen impact, is what that means, is to reforest. And that is just what it sounds like. So if you look down here, you see an example of reforesting. This is an area where trees have been taken out and they've been new trees have been planted there. So let me finish this. Reforestation. Using and buying wood harvested by ecologically sustainable techniques. Ecologically sustainable forestry techniques. And, it's always good to reuse wood. So I think I have some pictures of that right here. Yes. So, for example, all these pallets that are used to ship goods around, they can be used for other things. Furniture, shelving, lots of different products can be made from these pallets. And then you can see here is an actual wood recycling process. You see wood's coming down the line and people are sorting it for wood that can be reused and wood that can't. I was really curious. I was here when the old buildings were knocked down, and there was tons of wood in those buildings. And I was always kind of wondering if any of that wood is going to be reused, because in some cases, some old wood will demand a very high price. Some of that old wood you just can't grow wood like that anymore, the old growth timber, and some people really put a high value on it. So here are some different techniques. We've talked about clear cutting before at the beginning. That's where you just wipe out everything and then hopefully replant and then just let it grow. Down here, this is an example of selective cutting. Selective cutting. And when you do that, you don't take out everything. You just take selected marketable trees and then leave larger ones behind. And then these ones can then reseed to grow the new ones. So, trees. Left behind, reseed, and then new trees grow. So that's a preferred option. Here is another kind of version of it, like this bottom one. This would be selective cutting, where you're kind of just picking and choosing, not completely randomly, but it looks more random. Selective cutting. And then there's another version up here. This is called strip cutting or shelter wood cutting, where you have kind of strips cut in the forest, so it doesn't look as random, but it allows those older trees to reseed. So strip / shelter wood cutting. Either way, these bottom methods are more favorable ecologically than the full-on clear cutting, where we have bare land, having all those trees taken out at once at the same age, just gone. So also, when we talk about managing forests, we want to help to manage pathogens, infestations. basically insects that can harm our trees. So just spraying everything with chemicals, that's not a good thing. We learned earlier we want to take an integrative approach, using techniques like really taking out the most diseased trees is a really good method for lower impact management of disease. And removing affected trees. In this case, we're talking about diseased trees. They have disease. They're not going to live. We don't want to let them sit there and provide a nursery for new insects. And what we see here in this forest is bark beetle infestation. So there are a lot of insect pests that will affect our forest. There's also molds, fungi that will affect our forests. So there's just a lot of things that can come after the trees we love, we use, and we love for recreation. Now, what this firefighter doing is what's called a prescribed burn. We think of forest fires as bad 100%, but they're really not. The forest is adapted to burn every once in a while, and really, by not allowing it to burn, you make it less healthy. More diseased trees hang around and don't get cut. And don't get removed. They're more likely to get infected and then spread it to others. So that's a big problem. So is letting all these dead trees and debris build up and then provide a lot of fuel. So when there is a fire, those kind of fires burn hotter, faster, and they're more destructive. A normal, healthy forest, when it burns, recovers pretty quickly from it because the main mature trees survive and they don't die. So mature, healthy trees usually survive fires. It's really when we have our more unhealthy forest with the dead trees hanging around, it just burns hotter and all the debris, and that just takes everybody out. So these prescribed burns, they're set under highly controlled conditions. Although they can get out of control. You can't completely perfectly plan these things in order to reduce the occurrence of natural fires. But like I said before, this is a little tricky. You're trying to reduce the occurrence of like catastrophic, big fires. That's what you're really trying to do. Natural fires are okay. You don't want the major ones that just kind of wipe out everything. And this is a nice little diagram of how they work. They'll usually make sure they have a big natural fire break. They'll burn something called a black line with a backfire. And then the firefighters will then always making sure the wind is, they're paying attention which way the wind is going, which can turn, it can change directions, and that obviously is a problem. And then hopefully just this area will be burned, and the embers won't fly and burn somewhere else. It is a risk, but it's well practiced. This is really the common technique that's done. Okay, for a suggested skill, environmental solutions to a problem. So let's have this one. A timber company wants to switch from clear cutting to selective cutting. That's a great idea. So by going to selective cutting, we will reduce soil erosion, which is great. That will, as a result of that, it will improve stream health, of that forest. That's LTH. Okay. That will maintain the regrowth of new trees. We'll see much more reliable regrowth, and that will give us nice long-term timber. And the companies, companies are funny because you would think they would have that long-term idea in mind. They don't want to go out of business 5, 10, 15 years from now. But you would be surprised at how short-term many companies end up thinking. It's just the human mind. They just want more and more and more. There needs to be some pushback. And this, of course, will help to support wildlife habitat, to not have the whole forest be clear-cutted, to have more forest remaining. That'll really help wildlife. It won't, cut down the homes of all these trees. That's terrible. So we're supporting wildlife habitat while supporting the local economy. Not just local, but the regional and national economy. Local, but I would say local economy. Okay, so write that down as a process. That'd be good to have. So here's another idea here. A state forest adopts a longer rotation period for tree harvesting instead of every 10 years. And I say, oh, we need to push back to 5/18. Okay, so that's fantastic. There might be a short-term hit, but over time, this will help improve forest health and diversity. More different kinds of trees and habitats there. And this will make higher quality timber. Their product will get a higher price on the market. Oh, so higher timber quality. And that will give you more money. Remember, but it's all quality over quantity. So it's a calculation in terms of, do we want to have more to make our money, or do we want to have a higher quality product and sell less? Okay, so again, supporting economy with the environment. Support economy and environment. It might be a short-term loss, but long-term gain. But again, we don't need to stop logging. We just need to do it smarter so forests can recover, and that will allow us to have more lumber into the future.